Hello YouTubers, I want to welcome you to another edition of Bargain Bin Gear. And as promised, we're continuing the pedalboard build. And in this episode, we're going to select a looper pedal. Right? Now I usually use the Boomerang 3, which you can see here. And as you can tell, it's a huge pedal. It's big. It won't fit on the little board at all. On the other hand, I went looking around, and Boss had just come out with a looper pedal that is the Boss rc-5. And I mean, I checked out some other pedals, and there's a couple of others in contention, like an Electro Harmonix 1440 looper might be very, very good. But as far as a small looper with stereo and MIDI, right, capabilities and being able to sync to MIDI and things, I think that the Boss rc-5, which came out fairly recently, might be a good option. And so I went around looking around, and new price retail about $250. Okay. So I mean, that's pretty expensive. However, I noticed that there were some that were used and were less expensive, and yet it's the same Boss rc-5 pedal. And I mean, I had been researching loop pedals, for quite a while. This was quite unexpected. Well, I'd made an offer on one, and it would have, it's a used one, and it would have saved me quite a bit off the price of a new one. I'm not sure if he would have accepted it, but he did. And, well, I opened my door, and it already arrived. There it was. And so this was the Boss rc-5. We're going to have an unboxing of sorts. And please don't try this at home. Only trained professionals should attempt. And this may be an internet first. I have a late night unboxing. It's quite unusual. Alright, so it's kind of a facsimile because I already opened it, of course. Alright. Here we go. Okay. You got the bubble wrap. Okay. 2 little manuals. Right. Yeah. But here's the interest. There it is. Look at that. And now, before I get to this, I know for a fact that Boss has a 5-year warranty to those who register their pedals. And if I'm not mistaken, and hopefully it's not already registered, you never know, here's a little card so that you can register it. So that may be something worthwhile to pursue. I'm not sure exactly. Alright, so here's the Boss, and you probably see the Boss logo on the box, right, and in red, rc-5 looping station. My goodness, this is incredible. Alright, And so from the box I thought, well, you know, it's kind of big for a little pedal. We'll see. So let's have an unboxing. Here we go. Okay. And here it is. The Boss RC-5 looping station. Look at that. Now look at that. Here it is. Now one of the first things that hit me is, well, look how small this thing is. I mean, it's freaking tiny. Wow. I mean, even for a little Boss pedal, I thought they were bigger than this. I mean, this thing is really tiny. I mean, they should have called it the Boss Tiny Tim, because it's so small. And the LCD display is even smaller. You know, because I had seen videos on YouTube about this pedal. And I mean, it's obvious to me now that these guys were zooming in on the pedal, trying to make it look bigger. I see how they are. In any case, it is tiny. I mean, it's small. And very impressive. And yet, it's very, very powerful. Quite surprising. Now, in theory, right, this is supposed to have full MIDI compatibility and therefore will sync to MIDI clock, right? So if you've got a Beat Buddy or some drum machine or a smart clock, as I have on my Pedalboard, this will sync with it, which will be great. Second thing is, I mean, I think I heard this thing can have like 13 hours of looping time or something. But I think when it comes out to stereo, it's like 1.5 hours or something. That's you know, longer than most people will ever use, unless they're taking dictation or something, you know. I don't know. Anyway, and built-in drum machine, right? Quite surprising. Now listen, back in the day, you know, the built-in drum machines were sad. But this is actually supposed to be not so bad a drum machine, you know, with the A and B variation and fills and those kinds of things. We'll see about that. Alright, so it's in great shape. Now notice on the back, it's very different than other RC-5s, and you've got the two pieces. I believe it's either Velcro or dual lock, one of the two. But it'll work with my board to put it on there. Okay, and it did also come with there's a black rubber backing that usually goes over the back of the pedal. But for it to mount on a board, you know, you can remove it and it's going to stay on a lot better, just as it is. Okay, so far so good. The price was very, very good. It's in excellent condition for being used. You know, and these haven't been out all that long, so it's not like it's, you know, 5 or 10 years old or something. I mean, this is pretty darn new. And much smaller than I expected, which isn't a bad thing, don't get me wrong. But it's hard to conceive that they've packed all this power into a little pedal this size. Wow. I mean, my boomerang pedals are huge in comparison. Alright, so, well, we've got to try this thing. We've got to try it. So let's do that now. Okay, now here it is. It's hooked up, and it's actually on pause because I recorded a loop. I just wanted to show you. And with this loop, basically we got the emulated bass, guitar, of course, synthesizer from the synthesizer pedal. And then I have a bass amp and 2 Super Champ X2s. And so it sounds like this. And I'm using the sappy drums from the rc-5. So here we go. So the bass, the drums, I mean, they don't sound that bad, I guess. You know, now let's turn the drums off and I'll run that loop again. Okay. Okay, now I've turned off the drums. You can still see its tempo. It's synced to the smart clock. 120 beats per minute. So here we go. This is without the drums. Alright, so that's just an example of the loop there. Alright, now I'm going to play through it here. Excuse the window air conditioner, of course, you can hear it, but anyway, I just want to show you at its really basic level of just looping. So, let's say I just wanted to play a loop, you know. Okay, I'm not using my feet here because I'm on the couch, but alright, so let's do that. And so, I mean, it just plays back everything that I just played there. So I could play over that, you know. Or we could put in a bass line, whatever. by doing an overdub. By the way, when you record, the screen turns red. So, and when you overdub, turns yellow. Okay. Overdub a synth line, whatever. So we can overdub that. so that, just to show you, I mean, you can do layers and layers and layers and things. And at the end, I added the sappy drums from the loop station. You know, and obviously you could space that out so it's not quite as jumbled. Now here's the thing I wanted to mention. As it is, because we haven't really set it up all that well, you know, because I just got it. But one thing I can show you is that I'm on memory 6 for whatever reason, and to erase the loop that's there, because I can recall it right now, everything we played. Okay, to erase that, you can stop it with by hitting the pedal twice, and it just stops. But watch what happens. To erase it, you have to hold down the pedal and you'll hear a little bit of that loop. Alright? That's kind of a bummer, really. But that empties out. Now, another thing you could do is, you know, just have that kind of standard bass drum type deal. So you could loop that, right? Put on some obviously it does that every time. We can't have that. Where it plays that little ending spot. Anyway, I just want to show you the, they're really cool. I mean, so I mean, and without the drums, it's a lot. And you can have freeform type stuff. what's cool is because it's MIDI synced, and you can hear that. So for example, my tempo now is at 86. Pretty slow, really. So if I start the little loop station with the drum, also increase the tempo, and it doesn't work quite as well. You can hear it here. Let's try that. So. So changing the tempo is kind of not a good idea, I guess. But what's cool is that, you know, when it's linked, or synced, I should say, for example, here if I have it just and just so I can see that every chord is starting on the first measure, first beat of the first measure, right? So anyway, interestingly, you can go through, and if you save the loops, it'll play back. We go through them. Previous loops that you'd messed around with. Like here's one. Okay, let's try. Here's another one. Well, I think that's it. So the fact that you could replay the loop is kind of new to me because the Boomerang doesn't do that. Looper. Okay, so there you go. There's the Boss RC-5. And let me tell you something. I'm totally blown away. I mean, what a great pedal. Really. Solid. When I first got it, I turned it on, plugged it in. Very first thing I noticed is when I turned on the little drum machine and changed the sync tempo, MIDI sync tempo on the smart clock, the sync on the drum machine changed as well. So the MIDI works on this, and I can say there are quite a few pedals, loop pedals, that claim to be MIDI syncing. I just didn't do a good job of it, you know. This one, excellent. Second, sound quality is just astounding. I mean, it's great. And I mean, I tried adding some extra loops just to see. Super. No problems at all. You know, sometimes when you add too many loops, it starts to degrade the signal and thing. Here, not at all. It's really nice. I think it's that 32-bit processing or whatever. I don't know if that has anything to do with it. In any case, very nice. Then it was kind of nice to see that you could see on the LCD the measures and tempo, where you were in the loop and that kind of thing. So it made overdubbing a lot easier if you wanted to start at the measure or start at the loop. Either one was great. And I couldn't believe how small it was. And this is exactly what I had been looking for. It was basically a real basic, simple looper that allows you to just use one track, right? And then do overdubs. And that's about it. Now this offers a little more than that, you know. You can even do reverse things and, you know, I guess it's got some kind of effects things, looping effects, you know. I mean, that'd be fun to try, you know. Now here's something I didn't expect. You know, the Boomerang doesn't save loops at all, but this one does, right? This is some kind of crazy thing. It's like 13 hours of loops you can save or something like that. I don't know. Any case, so that's kind of fun too, you know. But for me, you know, I just would never save loops in the past anyway. You know, here I might try it. Okay, next thing, ease of use, right? And I mean, this thing, without reading the manual, you know, and really diving deep into the functions and those kinds of things. I mean, I figured out stuff really quickly. How to turn the drum machine on and off, how to set the volume of the drum machine, how to set the loop volume, you know, how to save loops and, you know, those kinds of things. In other words, very, very simple to use. Now, of course, you can, you know, get into deeper functions and, you know, really get to know your way around the pedal. I mean, I've only had a, you know, a couple hours at most. You know, I haven't hooked up any external foot switches or expression pedals at all. I haven't done that yet. You know, I'd read where it's like, oh, this thing is so complicated I can't, you know. I mean, boy, I don't know. This thing seems pretty straightforward to me and pretty simple too. You know. Okay. There's one issue, two issues actually, that I ran across. Okay, number one. And I mean, this is a known issue. This is not something new. Okay, for the boss pedal, to just stop a loop, you have to hit the button twice. Okay? Pretty straightforward. And it does, it pauses. Now, to erase the loop that's there, you hold down the pedal. And when you do, it is not silent. In other words, it plays a little tiny bit of the loop that it had until it's totally erased. Okay? Wouldn't seem like a problem, but if you're playing live and you end a song, right? You hit the button twice, it stops. But now you've got to erase the loop there to use the, you know, do the next loop. And if you do that, they're going to hear a little, a little part of the loop. Not that big a deal, really. However, I've also read that you can use MIDI and not have to deal with that, or external foot switch. Right? We'll do that as well. Now that's a glitch that they need to fix, really. You know, they figure, well, people won't notice that until it's too late. That's the real problem. Then the other thing is the drum machine. And it's actually quite good. I'm actually quite impressed, to be honest with you. And I mean, this one's the basic one. There's a rc-10R boss looper that has many more drum sets, drum kits, if you like, and patterns and so on. And even the rc-500, same thing. But even for just the drum kits that are here and the patterns they're not bad at all. Not bad at all. Right? Pretty good. Now, here's the thing. A lot of times I do loops and I don't even consider the rhythm exactly, you know. So when you turn that on, it's quite a shock. It's like, oh yeah, okay, so that's where I am in the loop. Those kind of things. So that part's great. Here's what's not so great. Okay, no matter what, right? It's a real shame in a way, because, well, you want the drums to sound good, right? And now, it depends on your amp, I guess, your guitar amp. You know, especially if you're playing in stereo and your guitar amps. Right? Well, the drum signals are not routable to another output to go to a different amp. Or to a PA, for example. In other words, they go right to your guitar amp. Right? And let's face it, a guitar amp's just not set up for that. You know? So, it actually can sound still quite okay. You know, especially if you're, you know, practicing or working out song ideas or that kind of thing. Or just jamming, you know. It's fine for that. You know, but if you want to play live and so on, you kind of want the drums to sound a little better than coming through your guitar amp. You know. That's really my only complaint. And you know, because the drum machine is actually pretty good. You know, they've come a long way. It's very much set up kind of like a Beat Buddy. You know, it has the A and B and the fills in between and those kinds of things. And what I wish they had done, right, which would be a first really, especially on a small pedal like this, is to have a pair of stereo out jacks that you could assign the drums to, so that it would go to a PA or a keyboard amp or something like that, rather than a guitar amp, you know. So, well, as a result, the drums are kind of there for fun, you know, kind of. If you're using MIDI, of course, you could sync like a Beat Buddy and have the outputs of a Beat Buddy or drum machine, you know, go to a PA or keyboard amp or that kind of thing. You know, rather than running through your guitar amp. The other thing I noticed is that when you do run the drums, you know, it eats up a lot of that input headroom. If you're not careful, depending, you know, if you have a ton of loops, whatever, it'll overdrive that input and you'll get kind of a little distortion and things, you know. So you gotta be real careful with that, you know. And one way of doing that is, unfortunately, is to lower the volume of either the drums or the loop itself. However, I have to say, it is a lot more fun than I ever imagined, right? And helps you tremendously with your rhythm playing, you know, or can. You know, and I'll tell you what, if you're a younger player or you're working on your rhythm, this will be a great way to do that. The little drum machine thing, even if it's going into your guitar amp, you know. And what I've noticed is, depending on which amp too, you know, the bigger the amp, the more it starts to sound like drums, you know. It is exactly what I wanted, and I highly, highly recommend it. It's tremendous. I mean, seriously. This is a pedal that, you know, and I mean, there's so many out there, you know. There's a Boss, all the Boss pedals, you know, from the rc-5, there's other models, the 10R, the rc-500, the rc-600, even the older ones, the 300, the 50, a ton of them. But I'm telling you, for my needs anyway, this is just the greatest. You know, I mean, I really like that pedal. I really like it because it's so small and so simple and straightforward to use, and yet still has everything you need, you know, especially for my needs anyway. For, you know, I want it to have MIDI, be stereo, be simple, just one loop, overdubs, and that's it. Now, you know, it has undo, redo, and reverse. Those would be nice options, and they have them. But I think you have to hook up either a external foot switch or access the functions via MIDI. I'm not sure. These are things I need to delve into and see, and I haven't really gotten that far yet. But I'm super impressed. Super impressed because it does exactly what it says it does. And, you know, looping is a lot of fun to begin with, but when it sounds good too, that's really more than you can ask, you know. And I mean, for what I paid for this pedal, it was a bargain. And I tell you what, I would buy another one. They are just so handy. In any case, I think these Boss RC pedals are just great. You know, in fact, I'm more impressed than I ever thought I would be. You know, even with the little drum machine thing. You know, very interesting. All right, now, so I wanted to show you the looper pedal, and it's going to fit great on this little board, you know. And in fact, I might even get another one because they're so handy, you know. And this one is so small that it will fit just about any board, really. All right, well, we'll see. So next time I'm getting it on the board and things, and yeah, it's just super thus far. So I highly recommend it if you're looking for a loop pedal. I'd highly recommend this one. All right, very good. See you next time. Okay, bye.